Obviously, in years to come, Admiral Holdo did not come from the Axe Woves school of ship bombs. Like, oh, you mean I can just set the controls and leave? Oh, wow. Why didn't anybody tell me? Hail, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. And we're here today talking about The Mandalorian. The Season 3 finale, The Return. We open with Bo-Katan escaping Gideon's base with the remnants of the reconnaissance team. She corresponds with Axe Woves, who is currently traveling up to the main ship, and the plan is to send all the Mandalorians down to the planet's surface, leaving the ship as a decoy for Gideon's fleet. We end with Mando adopting Grogu, now Din Grogu, who is an officially baptized Mandalorian.
He didn't have to take no creed.
Creed Schmeed. I was a little confused that that same kid, Ragnar, was taking the creed again. I was like, wait, he already took the creed the first episode of the season. Anyway, whatever. He had to take it again. They're like, look, these are the real waters, so do it again. But anyway, creed or no, Grogu has been baptized, and the two of them settle down on a homestead in Navarro, courtesy of Grief Karga. I predicted that would be the end of the series scene, perhaps. But here we leave open the entry point for Season 4. Mando meets with Carson Teva and tells him that he's willing to do contract bounty hunter work for the New Republic. And IG-11 is the new sheriff. So all that said, Paul!
Yes?
What'd you think of the Season 3 finale?
So, I give it an 8, I guess.
Okay, so that's, I think, your highest score of the season.
It could be. Yeah, because, everything happened, and it was, all the battles and everything, that was good to watch. They found a way to make Grogu less annoying for me.
Okay.
So, with him being more competent than previously. Some aspects of it, maybe the running along the tops there was
I was going to point that out. It felt very much like the throw the puppet paintball dart scene with him running around the top.
Yeah. Okay, but the sort of ways in which he would delay a blow or move people to the side or whatever to give, Din Djarin his way to get an upper hand and all that, that worked. I thought that was effective. It sort of made sense to me. I didn't feel like okay, that's legitimate.
And then he used the big force bubble at the end to save them from the explosion.
It's making me think now, and I only thought about it this moment, that if Grogu could talk, it would have been nice to see some sort of debate between Djarin there and him about him getting involved, because he's always been no, you stay here, whatever, and he's clearly now useful in battle, and he's going to teach them how to, so he's moving them there all along, but
yeah, and that was an issue too, a little bit of my, so like as you said, I appreciate the fact that Grogu was certainly involved and using the Force quite a bit and was helping and all that stuff. But then they kind of reverted back to type at the end when they're like baptizing him. Like, he's too young to talk, and he's like, bah, 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 bah. And like they want both. They want it both ways, right? They're like, oh, we want him to be progressing, and look, he's got better with the Force, and he's becoming more mature. But then also they're still like, and he's a baby. Like, okay, but I am glad that he's not using the mech suit anymore. So they got IG-11 ahead. IG-12 became back to IG-11, and so Grogu is back to just being Grogu. I think that's a better idea than a permanent mech suit for him. I think would be a little awkward.
I think I would maybe be able to tolerate a redesigned mech suit, maybe. Something that maybe gives him another foot of height or something.
Right.
Something
do they
that,
grow anymore? I don't even know. Does he grow goo anymore?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or more weight. That'd be nice.
So yeah, we got a few theories right and a few theories wrong. The armor was indeed not a spy.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I just felt like that was a goofy plot premise if that was going to happen. Gideon died, which we thought was a possibility. We weren't like 100% on it, but we thought that could happen, and it did. I mean, well, we'll talk about that. Did it? And Mando survived. We also had an appearance by the Mythosaur, though no one wrote it. And I guess we're saying that the Mythosaur does not breathe air. It feels like it's a firmly aquatic creature at this point. So if you're going to ride the Mythosaur, it's probably going to be underwater. However, Mando did not remove his helmet, which I thought he might do. So that means Pedro Pascal was 100% voiceover work this season.
Probably, yeah.
Probably not on the set. I don't know. Anyway, who knows? The armorer survived, contrary to my prediction. Didn't even really come close to dying, really. But I thought I was in good shape with Axe Woves. He had all the hallmarks. Sacrificing himself for Mandalore, going down with the ship. Everybody else, off the ship. I'm gonna steer it into the base. I'm like, there we go. I saw this coming. Then he just shoots through a window and flies off. I'm like,
right.
oh.
That's right. He's smarter than those people.
Yeah, he was way too sensible. That's an incredibly sensible solution. Obviously, in years to come, Admiral Holdo did not come from the Axe Woves school of ship bombs. Like, oh, you mean I can just set the controls and leave? Oh, wow. Why didn't anybody tell me? So good on you, Axe Woves. You had me. I was, there we go. At least I got that right. But no, none of the good guys, other than Paz Vizsla in the previous episode, died.
Right.
I liked the aerial combat scene. Instead of ship to ship, it's like jetpack to jetpack. I thought that was a fun idea. Very creative way to do a fight. And I liked the imagery of the TIE fighters dropping from the cave walls and then flying out of the cave en masse like bats. That was kind of a cool. I liked. It was well played show. Yeah, the Praetorian Guard versus Grogu. Yeah, it still felt silly. It's interesting. You were talking about the force skills, and we're saying, oh yeah, it was really cool that he would multiple times. I think with the Praetorian Guard and with Gideon, he force moved their weapons away from them.
Yeah.
And so all of his powers were, kind of non-offensive powers. They were, hey, I'm not trying to kill you. It was like, I'm just trying to make you weak so that my friend can kill you. that fits the Jedi code. That's fine. As long as you're not actually force choking them, it's fine. It's just if you make them defenseless so that your buddy can kill them, that's fine. Okay. The fight scene with the series of electronic barriers, that was a nice callback to Phantom Menace. Duel of the Fates fight. And I was glad, actually, that they showed the guards trying unsuccessfully to lower the barriers.
Yes.
I assume due to R5's interference. Because otherwise, what a dumb system.
Yeah.
We could easily overpower this single intruder, but thanks to our security protocols, we can only face him 2 at a time. Okay, good. They were like, hey, drop the shields, drop them. And they're like, oh, we can't. All right, good. Thank you for bringing that. I appreciate that line, because otherwise I would have been thinking, what the hell? What a dumbass system this is.
It's like, boy, woo, I can't wait to get our chance.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
Limber up.
Those guys are always idiots.
Yeah, exactly. Good riddance, Jerry. R5's exploits are also a nice callback to R2 on the Death Star. Very similar. I'll just say, it is one of these things where that's a pretty big security loophole. Like, a droid can literally just waltz into a base, roll up to one of several conveniently placed ports, and just control most of the automated functions on the base. I just feel like that's happened enough times to the Empire / post-Empire that they might have come up with, I don't know, a new password, some protocol that keeps random droid from coming in and going, yeah, now I control all the doors, I can turn everything off and on, I can show you a map of the system.
Apparently the downfall of the Empire is really just bad system design.
They're just underestimated droids, maybe. I don't know.
No, well, the system, really not just the droids, but the, whatever buildings they make. That's Star Wars for you.
The Star Wars. They're too big to see the small picture. That's what it is, Paul.
Yep.
There are people saying that they don't think Gideon died. That it was a clone that died. We do see a bunch of clones, and I don't think that's true. But there are people that are saying that, and the main evidence appears to be that Gideon didn't have a mustache. Now, because season 2 Gideon had a mustache.
Ah, okay.
Now that theory I think would hold more water if somewhere in season 3 we saw Gideon with a mustache, but we never do.
No, we never do.
Like,
or at least I assume we don't.
I think it's just that when you become a prisoner, there's a policy probably New Republic, they shave your mustache. You don't get to be in prison with a mustache. I would say so. For me, the reason that the reasoning that I see that this is not a clone that they killed is one of the advantages of the clones. We are told in this episode is that they can use the Force.
Oh, right.
I don't know that we ever saw Gideon use the Force.
Right. Yeah. Sure. That's true. I don't think we did.
Also, assuming Gideon is close in age to Giancarlo Esposito's age, that means he's in his mid-60s.
Okay.
Would you clone a 65-year-old version of yourself? I don't know.
I mean, those clones look like they're about his age.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, good point. He did. So the answer is yes.
Would you? Yes, the answer is yes.
Oh, yeah, I guess he would. Okay. But boy, why not? I don't know. If you could pick, obviously he can grow them. So why not pick the age and like, hey, let's put me in my 20s. Anyway. But you're right. He did make the choice. No, I want the over the hill clones of myself. But I would say mainly, I mean, I think from a story standpoint, they've now beaten him soundly 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's not like they just escaped from him. They've beaten him.
Yeah.
And so, like, if he came back for season 4, it would almost be like, okay, who cares? Oh, the guy we routinely pummel has come back for more. Like, commence pummeling session 4. Like, yeah. So it makes more sense to me that after the Ahsoka show, you introduce Thrawn. It's in the shared universe at the same time. Thrawn probably becomes the big bad, and that would be big enough reason to have Carson Teva show up at Mando's farm and say, "Mando, we need you," and that brings it back out. That would be what I assumed. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think?
Yeah, no. I mean, while they could. They brought back people for crazier reasons. I think story-wise it's better if he's dead.
Yeah, I think, just for the plot reason.
So,
I like the progression of the relationship between Mando and Grogu. I like the fact that he adopts him. I thought that was a good choice.
Yeah, sure.
For the story, so I appreciated that. They're officially family now. He's always been a father figure.
Right.
To Grogu, but now it's official as well. So I'm good with that. I like it. The Darksaber was destroyed.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too easily, frankly, but okay. So that artifact is now no longer needed to control.
I'm not exactly sure why it needed to be destroyed. Story-wise, I'm not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not really sure why that needed to happen. So I'd be curious to hear what the makers of the show, why they did it, because I'm not sure why. I had never heard of it before the show, so I don't have any particular connection to it necessarily.
But it does have.
And so, as a reason, but as a reason to sort of like, oh, you can't, lead us unless you're holding that sword. You're not holding the sword, so you can't lead us. I wasn't really in love with that as a plot point. Throughout this whole thing, it's clear that all the decisive moves were made because of Bo-Katan, and she's the one who decided to do things, and so that's what do they say in Holy Grail? It's like a system of government shouldn't be based
strange
on
women lying in ponds distributing swords. Look, if I went round saying I was emperor just because some moistened bin loved a scimitar at me, they put me away.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
maybe the point of it was just to say, in that fight, in that moment, Bo-Katan was losing. Oh, look, this is her moment. She'll kill him with the Darksaber, and then she'll have vengeance on the guy that took the saber from her in the first place. But the fact that in the story beat, they're like, no, what they want this to be We want him to die in another way. We want him to die in the explosion.
So
instead, it looks like he's going to win. No, look what he did. He even destroyed the Darksaber. I don't know, maybe. But we've learned something very valuable. That's how you defeat lightsabers. You take out the handle. Take him out at the handle. That's why don't hit the blade. It reminds me of my experiment that I did in college. Freshman year dorm. We had a jar of, I believe it was it Skippy or Jif? I feel it was Skippy peanut butter.
Sure.
And it mentioned that the jar, it was a plastic jar, was indestructible. And like, oh, if you have problems with your jar, please feel to call this, customer support number.
This unmanned customer support number.
Yeah. So we decided, you know what? Let's test the strength of a Skippy jar, a peanut butter jar. And we dropped it down like a 6-story stairwell. And boom. It actually did not shatter, but the lid shattered. So the lid was made of a different crappy plastic, and so when that broke, all the peanut butter went bleh, out the top. So I actually did call the customer support. I was like, just FYI, your jar is fine. The lid, that's your problem. So when people drop it 6 stories, it'll break.
So of course you looked it up. You and your friend looked it all up off the pavement.
No, they sent us a coupon for a free new jar of Skippy because we'd broken it, dropping it down a stairwell. Anyway, just saying, much like a lightsaber, the weakness of a jar of Skippy peanut butter is the lid. There you go.
So now you know that Imperial designers work for Skippy.
Yeah. That's right. They work for Skip. Anyway, I enjoyed the episode as well. I it was action oriented, but it also had a couple of good plot beats. And yeah, I agree. I think this was probably, while it's not a 10 episode, it's not like, oh my God, this was amazing.
Yeah.
It was probably, the last 2 episodes are probably the strongest 2 episodes of the season. So in that way, it ended on a high. By that show, by season 3 standards, the last 2 episodes probably meant that it ended on a high. So, congrats to the show for that.
Yeah, I do wish, looking at the seasons as a whole and the 3 seasons so far, I do wish they'd bring in some writers who could spiff up the dialogue. Yeah,
the dialogue still, when they're all talking in the helmets and everything, and it feels very stilted, and there's okay. It could be better, for sure.
Yeah, and and this, sort of like, you can have, this one little bit of land or whatever, and I don't think they've really done a lot to develop Grief Karga, or any of the characters. They're rather simple, I'd say. So I just, I would like some more levels to the story, but okay. It's still a fun series and still interesting. So
yeah, and it looks great too. I mean, just as far as the design of everything, I think eye candy to watch. So that is season 3 of The Mandalorian. As I say, I think season 4 probably has Thrawn, who is already introduced in the Ahsoka series, just kind of be the bad that needs to be dealt with in some way in season 4. Otherwise, I think we're going to be probably next talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, if I had to guess. And then we've got a couple of different shows we're going to be talking about. We're going to be certainly covering Strange New Worlds, Star Trek. We're going to be covering Secret Invasion, the new Marvel series. And we're going to be covering a show that we thought we'd be covering a couple of months ago, but got pushed back, the Lazarus Project. So lots of stuff coming up for the Dork Lords. Thank you as always, Paul. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.